Is it safe to travel to China right now? That's a question that seems to echo louder than ever, especially as the world reopens and travelers begin to look east again for business, adventure, and cultural discovery. China has always been a country that stirs a mix of curiosity and caution. It's vast, it's layered with thousands of years of history, and it is full of contrasts that can leave even experienced travelers feeling a little uncertain. I'm Stephen with the Travel Safety Network. For more than 25 years, I've worked across the globe in industrial safety and risk management, helping people prepare for and navigate environments that demand not only vigilance, but respect and adaptability. Now, I'm turning my focus to travel safety, because whether you're traveling for business or leisure, understanding a country's realities is the first step to feeling confident and informed. Today, we're going to have a candid conversation about safety in China. We'll explore how the safety picture has evolved over the years, what challenges still remain, and how the scale and diversity of this country are balanced by some consistent safety considerations. We'll also talk about issues you don't always hear about, like visa requirements, local health standards, and the social and political climate that shapes the experience of travelers. And stay tuned until the end, because I'll share something about traveling in China that even seasoned visitors often overlook, something that can help you connect to the country in a more meaningful way. To start, let's step back for some perspective. China has always stood apart as a destination. For generations, it was seen as remote, even mysterious, a place where the rules of engagement felt fundamentally different from what most Western travelers were used to. Over the past few decades, though, China has undergone an astonishing transformation. Modern infrastructure has expanded at a pace almost unmatched anywhere in the world. Entire cities have sprung up seemingly overnight, and the country has invested heavily in tourism, with high-speed trains, modern airports, and international hotels rising across provinces. If you compare China today to the China of even 20 years ago, you'll find a country that is easier to access, more prepared to welcome visitors, and in many respects, safer to navigate than ever before. Violent crime against foreigners is rare, and many travelers find the experience of moving around major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou remarkably comfortable. But that doesn't mean there aren't risks. They've simply evolved into forms that require a different kind of awareness. One of the most important things to understand is that while China is geographically massive, stretching across deserts, high plateaus, tropical coastlines, and mountain ranges, the safety picture is more consistent than you might expect. Whether you're exploring the Bund in Shanghai or walking through the markets of Chengdu, the fundamentals remain largely the same. A high level of public safety, a strong government presence, and rules that can feel opaque if you're not prepared. Petty crime does happen, particularly in crowded tourist areas, on public transportation, or near popular landmarks. Pickpocketing remains the most common issue, and scams targeting foreigners, like overpriced tea ceremonies, counterfeit goods, or unofficial taxis, are still reported regularly. But in many respects, these problems are no worse than what you'd find in major European or American cities. With a little vigilance, most travelers experience nothing more than minor inconveniences. One area that feels different in China is the presence of surveillance and the importance of compliance with local regulations. From cameras on street corners to the widespread use of facial recognition technology, China maintains one of the most extensive monitoring systems in the world. For some travelers, that can feel unsettling, but it also contributes to a sense of security in public spaces. It's rare to hear about street crime escalating into violence, and you'll often find that police and security personnel are highly visible in transportation hubs and tourist areas. Where China differs from many destinations is in the space between the official rules and the social norms you're expected to follow. Freedom of expression, particularly on topics like government policy, Taiwan, Tibet, or human rights issues, is far more restricted here than in many other countries. What you say online or in conversation can sometimes have consequences, including questioning by authorities. It's wise to be mindful of what you post on social media while in China, and to avoid public discussions about sensitive topics. That same caution extends to your electronic devices. Customs officials have the legal authority to inspect phones and laptops when you enter the country. While most travelers pass through immigration without issue, it's important to be prepared for additional screening and to make sure any documentation you need, like hotel bookings or return flights, is easily accessible. Speaking of immigration, visa requirements for China can feel complex compared to many other destinations. Most travelers need a visa in advance, and the process can take several weeks, depending on your nationality. You'll likely be asked to provide detailed information about your itinerary, accommodations, and the purpose of your visit. Some regions within China, like Tibet, require additional permits, and travel there without authorization can lead to serious consequences. If you plan to venture into more remote provinces, it's essential to understand what permits you need well before you arrive. Health and hygiene standards in China have improved dramatically over the years, but there are still considerations to keep in mind. Tap water is not considered safe to drink anywhere in the country, including major cities. Bottled water is widely available, and most hotels provide complimentary bottles daily. Be cautious about ice in drinks, unless you're sure it's made with purified water. Food safety varies. In upscale restaurants and hotels, hygiene standards are generally excellent. Street food is a highlight of many trips to China. Think dumplings in Xi'an or skewers in Chengdu, but choose vendors carefully. Look for stalls with a high turnover of customers and food that is cooked fresh in front of you. If you have a sensitive stomach, easing into street food gradually can help you avoid discomfort. Local transportation is another area where preparation pays off. China's high-speed trains are among the best in the world. Clean, efficient, and safe. They're often the easiest way to travel between cities, and they provide an experience that feels worlds away from the stereotypes of overcrowded, chaotic travel. Urban transit systems in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou are modern and well-marked in English, but they can be extremely crowded during peak hours. If you're using taxis, always insist on the meter being turned on, or use a ride-hailing app like Didi to avoid confusion over fares. Socially, China remains largely welcoming to foreign visitors. People are curious and often eager to help, especially younger generations who have studied English. But racial and cultural dynamics can be complex. Travelers of African, South Asian, or Middle Eastern descent sometimes report extra scrutiny or curiosity in less cosmopolitan areas. LGBTQ+ travelers should also be aware that while same-sex relationships are legal, public displays of affection can attract attention and sometimes disapproval, particularly in more conservative regions. Politically, the environment has become more sensitive in recent years. Protests are rare, heavily controlled, and often met with a swift response from authorities. If you happen to encounter a demonstration, it's best to move away quickly. Even photographing or filming protests can lead to questioning. The travel advisories from the US State Department, Global Affairs Canada, the UK Foreign Office, and Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade all emphasize similar points. Exercise a high degree of caution, comply fully with local laws, avoid political discussions, and stay alert in crowded areas. They also note that consular assistance may be limited in certain situations, especially if you are detained. So is it safe to travel to China? For most travelers, the answer is yes. If you come prepared, stay aware, and respect the unique context of the country. Violent crime is rare, transportation is among the safest in the world, and the risk of serious health issues is low if you take basic precautions. But China is a place that requires you to be thoughtful, not just about your safety, but about how your actions fit into the broader social and political environment. The best approach is to travel with humility, curiosity, and respect. Learn a few words of Mandarin if you can. Be patient with the bureaucratic processes. Understand that the things that feel different are part of what makes travel rewarding. And here's the surprise I promised you. Many people think of China as a place of immense crowds and bustling cities, but more than 90% of its landmass is sparsely populated countryside. If you take the time to step away from the big urban centers, you'll find landscapes of breathtaking beauty and communities that rarely see foreign visitors. Whether it's the karst mountains of Guangxi, the grasslands of Inner Mongolia, or the quiet villages along the Yangtze River, there is another China waiting beyond the cities, and it's often the safest, most welcoming part of the country. I'm Stephen with the Travel Safety Network. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone considering a trip to China. And stay tuned for my upcoming videos, where I'll help you navigate more destinations with the clarity and confidence you deserve. Until next time, stay curious, stay prepared, and remember, safety is your travel superpower.